Congratulations on these two tracks that you've just released. We've been playing the first one on our show and it's been getting so much feedback at the moment.
Oh, awesome.
So tell us, mate, what were you guys trying to achieve with these two songs? Because one of the things that everybody seems to be picking up on is it's a little bit of a change in sound for you guys. So tell us a little bit about what you were trying to achieve with these two tracks.
Well, I think with the change in sound, we were sort of we had our sound originally, and I think we got to the point where we just weren't quite happy at it. We sort of started nitpicking how it sounded, and so we sort of had a bit of a play around, and we managed to find this spot which we all agreed we were happy on, and it sort of started to flow really well from there, and all of a sudden it became our new sound.
So how did you play around with it? Did you just do a lot of jamming and things like that? What was the way to find that new sound?
Right, well we did a fair bit of jamming and playing around in just different tunings and see what felt right and stuff like that, but ultimately we looked at some of the bands that we've looked up to, you know what I mean? So we started playing around with some of the tunings we like hearing and all these other ones, and then it ended up being pretty close to standard tuning that we ended up in.
Were you a little bit worried about how your fans would take that new sound, or was that something you just put to the back burner and went with what you thought you were happy with?
Well, as much as you want everyone to love your music sort of thing, it's we got to be happy with it too.
Yeah.
So if we're sitting there nitpicking at it, then there's no point in doing it sort of thing. So if we find where we're happy at, then I'm sure everyone will start to enjoy where that's at too.
Now, one of the other things that really hit me about these two tracks as well is they're about such deep personal things. Tell us a little bit about the subjects and themes that you look at in these two tracks and how those tracks came about.
Both these two were written by Stove. And, Inside Your Head was, it was more of a, it was, it came from sort of his background being, give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to get away from the TV. It's making noise.
That's all right.
Sorry about that. So Inside Your Head was sort of came about being having a hard conversation on yourself, whether you're where you're at with your mental health and not wanting to give up on yourself, but sort of feeling like you're spiraling and how to sort of pick yourself back up out of that and deal with it in a way that's the best way for you.
Yeah.
And and Good for Nothing. It was he had an ex-girlfriend that was very manipulative and abusive, and I found that was his sort of way of expressing the aftermath of what it did to him and how he felt about all that.
They're the kind of tracks that people listen to and say that's what I went through kind of thing. Are you guys kind of had people contact you so far and say, I've been through that? Are you guys prepared for that to happen as well?
Yeah, well, we actually just the other day had a message come through to our Facebook from some lovely guy who didn't want his name said, but he basically turned around and was like, this spells out exactly what I've been through, and we just wanted to let you know that, it's so therapeutic to hear it coming from someone else and blah, 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 and you helped me and all this sort of stuff, and we were all so starstruck by it. It took us a while just to figure out the words to say back to him. It just felt unreal to be able to have anything close to that effect on somebody.
Definitely. And these tracks have come out at a time when so many people are suffering as well. Were they difficult for you guys to put down on paper because they were so personal and you knew that so many people were going through these feelings at the moment?
Um, yes and no. Like, obviously, you know, coming from somewhere deep, it's always hard to put it on paper. But, like, you know, with everyone going through, you know, all this stuff that we're going through, putting it out there and giving it that little aspect of, like, maybe someone else is going through this as well, and, like, maybe it might resonate better with them, and blah, 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 and, hey, it might just make someone smile one day. Like, I don't know, it made it just that little bit easier to put it down, I guess.
Definitely. And talking about the toughness of the past couple of years, was it difficult for you guys to even get into the studio to record? Because I know that in New South Wales, you guys have been in and out of lockdowns the entire time, the same as us Victorians.
Yeah, we actually got ridiculously lucky with it because we work with Chris Lallick from Wind Waker, and he came down in that perfect little break between the two lockdowns and managed to get it in that week gap, basically. We had 2 days either side of recording that we sort of just managed to just squeeze it in there, and it was one of those things where he was down in Wagga Wagga and basically went, you know, it's now or never, and so we sort of just sucked it up, threw the money at him and got it done in the only time we really could, otherwise we'd still be sitting on it.
Awesome. And the question we've been asking everybody on our show recently is, how can our listeners support you guys at the moment? We know that while you're not out there doing shows, everybody's suffering. So how can our listeners help you guys out at the moment? Is there a way that they can purchase merchandise and stuff to make sure that you guys can keep surviving?
Yeah, of course. We do have merch available on postcards.bigcartel, postcards without all the vowels. But yeah, even just any small streams, giving us a listen now and then, any sort of support, throw a like on the Facebook, anything, it doesn't matter. Even the smallest little gestures make us absolutely gush. So.
And what's your plans now for the future? Like, with everyone, both states now are talking about opening back up by November. What are your plans once everything's opened back up? Are you guys hoping to get out there and do some shows?
Yeah, we want to tour this new release as quick as possible. You know, play as many shows as we can, just in case, God forbid, it does go into another lockdown at some point. You know, we were talking about doing, you know, the 3 East Coast states, and we're also talking about maybe just sort of digging in and putting another EP or something out early next year. Well, yeah, so I think we're sort of looked at it as we've been sitting still long enough, so as soon as we're allowed to, we're going to dig our claws and everything we can.
Crazy. Well, we cannot wait to see you guys back on stage. We also can't wait to hear some new music from you guys. But right now, we're going to play these 2 new tracks back to back on our show. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they listen to these 2 tracks back to back?
I just hope that everyone's having, you know, as good a deal as they can during lockdown, and I hope you're all out soon. Hope everyone stays healthy and happy, and I hope you enjoy the tracks.
Awesome. Well,